Hello, my name is Sorensen, and I will be presenting on my curriculum proposal, which is Informal Popular Music Learning. In the early months of 2020, before school went completely online, I was actually experimenting with um, letting my 5th and 6th graders choose the songs that they would perform for the upcoming program. I gave them a theme, they put their choices into a Google form, voted on them, and those were the songs that we were going to perform. I didn't stand and teach in front of the class. I sat with the students. We sang through songs by listening to the recordings. And I also let them decide if they wanted to have costumes, dancing, set pieces, skits, basically anything they wanted so that they would have more buy-in to this program. Because in years past, 5th and 6th graders especially groaned about the program. They didn't want to perform for one reason or the other, likely because they didn't enjoy the content or they were just embarrassed. So this was a very successful experience. Obviously, there was no program, but it was unintentionally my first jump into informal music learning. I wasn't trying to change ideologies. This was just happening naturally, and it was working. The students were becoming more engaged, and they were really excited about the upcoming performance. It made me realize that some other ventures I had done into the world of popular music teaching had been unsuccessful because I was doing things so differently than I was in this instance. So Lucy Green has 5 guidelines for teaching popular music, which are listed here, such as the students choose the music, students learn in the culture of the music, students work with friends with similar musical interests, not a formal teacher. So the structure must be fluid and decided upon by the students, and they have unlimited creative freedom. So, as I read further into Green's curriculum about informal music learning, I found a lot of things I found extremely interesting that I thought would work really well with my students, but there were some things that I didn't quite agree with, such as blending classical with the popular music at some point in the curriculum. I didn't feel like it was necessary. So when I read Hess's words, I decided to use some of her things that she said to edit the curriculum. One of those is a quote that says this: "We must ensure that music we select or have the students select for the school use is actually relevant to the students." A lot of students choose music that they think their friends will like, or that is the top 40 music. They feel like this is the most popular music of the time and that's what they should be focusing on. However, Green actually writes, she agrees with Hess in this way, this may be particularly so in the case of children from minority cultures. They're choosing music they think they're supposed to like, but they don't actually connect with. So that's why I'm making sure the students are choosing their own music, and I'm really going to encourage them to pick music that they're really passionate about. Second was culturally responsive pedagogy may then involve beginning with covers, but then moving towards creative work. I don't believe we'll have time to move past covers in this short unit as it's only 9 weeks. However, if this is successful and I choose to do it again, I would definitely expand on it and move to a more creative outlet. So it's really important to address why I keep trying popular music and why I don't just go back to a normal folk and classical music curriculum that most general music teachers tend to do. And the reason is because as teachers, our job is not only to teach, but now it is also to engage and almost entertain the students and kind of entice them to learn the material that we're presenting. So if using classical music isn't working for my students, then we need to choose, or I need to choose, something that does work. So a lot of students don't feel any sort of connection with classical music. They don't believe like it belongs to them. It feels like somebody else's music, like for old people or for prim and proper people. It doesn't feel like something they would want to listen to. And most of these students actually don't listen to classical music outside of school. So it doesn't feel like something easily accessible to them, which makes learning more difficult. So I'll be implementing this curriculum with a 5th and 6th grade general music classes, and we meet once a week. It's a very rural community. It's mostly white, 27% low income. And my goals will be to have all the students improve their ear training, arranging, and rehearsal skills, to have them collaborate with peers so that they can reproduce a piece of music that they choose, and for them to reflect on these experiences throughout the entire process. So here's a lesson or a unit plan set up for the 9 weeks. The first week, we're basically just going to explain the project, and students can choose their groups and their songs, and they can get started on their first journal prompt. Through the next several weeks, they'll be working on the songs in their groups and reflecting each week as well. Students can ask me for help, and I will definitely help them if they're getting frustrated and need help. However, I am going to encourage them to use each other and find resources and figure things out on their own. If they find a YouTube tutorial that teaches them how to play a certain snippet of the song on the piano, I am not going to disallow that. For me, that is how a lot of musicians learn today. Though Green doesn't mention it in her initial research, that might also be because of a time difference. She said she started her research in the 90s, and so things have come a long way, and popular musicians do use technology to learn their craft, and so that is completely okay with me. These are some of the journal prompts. I'm really just trying to find ways into the kids' minds and see what they're thinking throughout this whole process. And then the last couple of days, I'll be conducting interviews with them just to see if this is something I should be doing again, if it was a successful project, if it was too frustrating. So we will have more of a colloquial conversation during class with the groups, or either as a whole class at the end of the project. There will be a performance assessment. However, it's very general. The students don't need to complete the entire song. They can just play whatever they've completed. And as long as they hit at least 2 of the pass requirements, they will completely pass this project. I didn't want to make it too specific or technical, because I wanted students to feel like they had lots of creativity in what they were presenting to me. I didn't want them to feel like they had to have the perfect instruments or the perfect tempo or the perfect singing voices. I didn't want them to feel like they had to do this in a really objectively correct way. So making a rubric that was pretty simple hopefully will encourage them. They can also perform this live. They can send me an audio recording or a video recording, or they can perform this in front of their class if they want to, or they can perform it for me privately during a study hall, lunch, or after school. I want to make sure everybody's comfortable sharing what they're going to share, and I don't want them to be nervous and perform in front of their class if they really don't want to. That does not bother me at all. So I believe those are all my main points. I don't want to talk too long. If there are any suggestions, or if anyone's done something like this before, I would really love to hear your feedback, especially with the integration of technology into this curriculum. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing all of your videos, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!